Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're going deep on a fan theory about Kanye West's All Falls Down, a classic. But before we get to all that, um, you won't believe this, but I finally did it.
Finally pulled the trigger on something. What'd you get?
Those boots. I kept talking about those boots, and I finally ordered them.
Nice. It's funny, cause spending and what it says about us kind of relates to today's topic.
Whoa, good point. We've got a lot to unpack here. We're looking at a Reddit post by, let me check the name here. Okay, yeah. By a user named Merlism Harris. It laid out this whole theory about the song. And we've got a music analysis blog post, too, that'll add some more context. Ready to dive in. Let's start with this Reddit theory.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm always interested in these fan theories about Kanye.
All right, so this user, Merlism Harris, they suggest that Kanye is rapping from different perspectives in this song, not just his own. Like, he's also taking on the voice of society, commenting on all those expectations we face. He thinks the first verse is actually society judging someone who doesn't fit in, maybe even Kanye himself. There's this line, she's so self-conscious, she's like, fuck it, I'll just stay down here and do hair. What do you think? Is he touching on societal pressures, like around education and jobs? Especially for young people.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take. I think it definitely captures that feeling of being trapped by expectations, like your options are limited, not just about being a hairdresser. But it also makes you think, is Kanye or is society saying that staying down is the only way? Or is there like a rebellious spirit in that, fuck it, like maybe she's choosing her own path?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that. Like there's this tension between fitting in and doing your own thing. And then in the second verse, Merlism Harris thinks Kanye switches it up. Like he becomes the voice of society, criticizing rich people, almost making fun of them. The line that really stood out was, man, I spent $400 on this, but I can't even pronounce nothing past that verse C. What do you think? Does this connect to the whole idea of class and how it's represented in hip-hop?
I think it's definitely important to consider the context of hip hop, right? Like displaying your wealth is often a part of it. It's connected to success and overcoming struggles. But with Kanye's wordplay here, it's almost like he's joking about how superficial it can be. Like, look at me, I'm rich, but I don't even know what I'm buying. I wonder, is it a critique of consumerism or is he playing a character? Like making fun of that stereotype of newly rich people.
Yeah, like he's showing us both sides. Society's obsession with status and then how hip-hop deals with wealth. Okay, so then we have the third verse, right? Where Harris says, this is Kanye giving his own social commentary. He's talking about police brutality, the justice system, even consumerism all in one. And he highlights how Kanye says, because they make us hate ourselves and love they wealth, and how they is, said differently. What do you think about that, like that wordplay?
Oh, yeah, the way he says they definitely stands out. Like it emphasizes that separation, the us and them thing. But it also makes you wonder who they really are. Is he talking about the wealthy, people in power, or is it like a broader force in society?
By changing the pronunciation, I think he's showing us that divide, like a feeling of not belonging, being on the outside.
Yeah, definitely. He's giving a voice to those who feel pushed to the margins, right? Oh, before we go any further, there was one little hiccup in the Reddit comments that we got to address. Merlism Harris mentions Austerity in 2008, but All Falls Down came out back in 2004. Oh, right. Always good to double check those dates and facts. Makes a big difference.
Totally. Context is key, especially with someone like Kanye. His work is so layered. All right, let's move on to this music analysis blog post now.
Yeah, it just shows you. Sometimes even the biggest fans, they can make mistakes. But it's their passion that fuels all this, right? Makes us look closer. Speaking of looking closer, this music blog, they don't actually talk about the fan theory directly, but they explore some similar themes in All Falls Down.
Yeah, this blog is great because it gets to the emotional heart of the song. For example, they point out how Kanye tackles this feeling of being self-conscious, which is something everyone experiences, right? What do you think? Why does that theme hit home for so many people? Not just in this song, but like in general.
I think it's because self-doubt, we all have it. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone feels insecure sometimes. Maybe it's about how you look, what you've achieved, where you fit in. That feeling of not being good enough, most people can relate to that. And Kanye is known for being really open in his music. He taps into those feelings, that we all share.
Yeah, he makes you feel like you're not alone in that struggle.
Yeah.
The blog also connected All Falls Down to his whole album, The College Dropout, like how there's this pressure to follow the rules about education and all that. Since you've spent so much time studying music, what do you think? How much does an artist's personal experience shape their work?
mean, personal experience is everything, right?
Right.
It's the heart of art. It makes the work feel real, you know? And Kanye's choice to drop out of college and go his own way, it definitely shows up in the themes of All Falls Down. He can talk about that struggle between what society expects and what you want for yourself because he's lived it.
It's like that experience gives the song real weight. And speaking of experiences, there's that line the blog really breaks down. Couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis. They see it as a commentary on materialism, how people try to make up for what they don't have with stuff, you know. What I find interesting is how names, they can mean so much in our culture. It's like hopes and dreams built into language.
Yeah, you're right. Names aren't just labels, they carry so much weight, right? Like family history, what people want for the future, even social status. So in this case, naming her daughter Alexis, it's like she's reaching for something, you know, maybe wealth or a fancy life, even if she can't afford it. It's a really clever way to talk about how we get drawn in by the idea of moving up in the world.
It's like trying to make a better life happen just by choosing a name. Okay, the blog also points out how in the last verse, Kanye gets real honest about his own insecurities. And he talks about buying all these expensive things, clothes and jewelry, but then admits he's got a couple past due bills. So, is this Kanye being vulnerable? Or is he saying something bigger about how society pushes us to act this way?
It's smart, you know, what Kanye does there because it blends together personal stuff with social commentary. It's like on one hand, he's admitting his flaws, right? Like, I struggle with materialism too. I try to keep up appearances. But he's also pointing to this bigger thing in our culture where we're told that having things will make us happy. So is he a victim of that or is he part of the problem? He makes us think about it, you know, like how do we personally feel about consumerism?
Yeah, he's not just blaming other people. He's including himself in the critique, which makes it even more powerful. Makes you think, huh, like how many other songs have these deeper meanings that we just miss? Like we're so used to just vibing to the music, but there's all this social commentary and deeper stuff going on under the surface.
That's what's so cool about music. It works on all these different levels, you know. It makes you feel things, think, even gets political sometimes. And because music is so tied to memories and experiences, it can really change how we see ourselves in the world.
Totally. It's like a soundtrack to our lives, right?
Yeah.
Shaping how we think without us even knowing. So to everyone listening, go back and listen to All Falls Down again with all this in mind. What lines jump out at you now? What connections do you make? Do you agree with what Merlot Zamara said, or do you see something totally different?
Remember, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to art, right? What makes it so special is that it means different things to different people. It makes you think, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, by digging into these deeper meanings, we can learn a little more about ourselves and each other. Who knows? Maybe that's what Kanye was hoping for all along.
Yeah, maybe he's challenging us, you know, to look past the surface, question what we believe, and really talk about the world we've created.
And that wraps up our deep dive into All Falls Down. Until next time, keep listening, keep thinking, and remember, sometimes the coolest discoveries are hiding in plain sight.